Guys who've become scared of dating/relationships, why? Bitches ain't nothing but hoes and tricks. I hate people. I'm the age when the only women interested in me are single moms with 2 or 3 kids. Social anxiety. STDs. Op couldn't even keep his relationship with his Reddit account. Up and deleted it after making this post. Got lied to, cheated on, lied to some more, then divorced. So yeah, social anxiety, depression, and trust issues. Seen how male friends are broken after a long relationship being over. It seems like they rather end it all. Seems like something I would just rather avoid. I don't want to be hurt or hurt anyone again. Or at least that's what I tell myself to justify my crippling social anxiety resulting from being unattractive. For me, ATM, it's just too much potential pain. I'm a jealous, insecure guy, so I need to work on that too. And I works rather focus on my career right now, so I have a good foundation both socially and economically before I find someone. Got burned once, and despite a pretty massive sample otherwise I will never chance going through that again. Not scared by the way, risk averse. Zero self-esteem or confidence, super introverted. At 26 and never dated, I feel it is too late to start. It's a lot easier to block yourself off emotionally from the world than it is to open up to it, and habit is a powerful thing. Just don't see how anyone could compare to my ex. Guess I'm still not over her. Well, statistically, most relationships fail. If you've been in 10 relationships, 9 of them haven't worked out. Those are some pretty awful odds. First one I was in, not serious but scared me deeply. She would just about kill anyone who got too close to me. She even accidentally broke my brother's arm. First wife cheating on me with 5 separate guys. Second wife left me for her guy friend who was just a friend. Tried dating and I've gotten ghosted and sneated for my efforts. I've given up trying. Cause I get scared about the future, I mean, what is going to happen and what. And I'm still not ready. The fact that cheating appears to be so rampant. Also, dating an abusive person would suck. I found someone I thought was perfect for me, she dumped me and I don't know why, and in hindsight, even she wasn't that great. If the person I thought was perfect wasn't that good, then why bother with anyone else? I just don't think I'm compatible with anyone, mostly because I'm a trash demon. Someone dating me for what I have as my foundation instead of dating me for who I am as a person. Being hurt again. False allegations. No thank you. Because it is really hard letting someone down. Damn, even Op left us. And they wonder why guys are scared of commitment, sleepy face. My last GF had a tantrum because apparently I wasn't paying her enough attention, or so she says. Broke my Xbox 360 and every single one of my games and DVDs. I have never let any other woman in my house since then. This thread made me so fucking sad. I hope you all are doing okay. Since I have a kid now, I can't just YOLO on the dating scene anymore. If I pick a bad one, then they could do a lot of harm to my kid. It's been so goddamn long. I'm 26 now, and the last meaningful, if you can call it that, relationship I've had was at 18. She cheated with me, without my knowledge, on a close friend while he was at basic training. I've had one-night stands and flings since that, but an actual relationship, no. I'm scared to come off as a creep. So I don't flirt. crippling abandonment issues and pretty bad depression. I don't want to hurt anyone with my own emotions. I have a messy philosophy that I should be friends with someone before I could consider dating them. Then when I reach that point, I get too scared of losing what I've already built with them, so I just don't do anything. Edit. Wow, this blew up way more than I thought it would. It's sad to see that so many people can relate. Stay strong, everybody. Never really got to see my parents act like they wanted to be married or loved each other, they always just seem like roommates stuck in a house together. Don't want to get 20 years in and end up in the same situation. The first girl I was ever interested in lead me on for 3 months and then emailed me saying she was joking the whole time, so yeah, fuck getting my heart broken again. Then all my relationships lasted no more than a month. Tried to make it work with my best friend. Coolest girl I've ever met. It didn't work. We haven't talked in years, and I don't want to get that close to someone again and lose them. You don't need the crutch once the leg heals. But the crutch can't stand on its own either. Loss of freedom. Break of trust, don't wanna let anyone close enough again. I didn't become scared, I've always been this way. Just always been a shy, pathetic piece of shit loser as long as I can remember. I get scared of either getting rejected or ghosted after putting so much energy into it. It gets disheartening after a while. Human interaction. I don't think I've become scared of dating. It just feels like I'm such a weird and peculiar guy that I won't find anybody with the same interests or lifestyle as me. That, coupled with the fact that I've become so comfortable just being alone on my own that a relationship feels like just an unnecessary burden, and that I don't really need one to be happy. Edit. It's good to know I'm not the only weirdo out there, and thank you for the silver kind stranger. 4 relationships 4 times he's just a friend turned out to be bullshit. The paranoia wasn't worth it, so I just stopped giving a shit about dating and learned to enjoy being alone. Being lied to, used, and cheated on. My ex-wife lied and took everything I built for over 15 years. Everything. 5 years on and I am still recovering from the devastation she delivered unto my life. Emotionally, mentally and economically. Am I skittish of relationships? F yeah. I am never getting married again. Date? Yes. Relationships? Yeah. Marriage? No effing way. The fact that some women can be done with a relationship, but stay with you for 4 to 6 more months. They started dating someone else while you're still together. Then one day break up with you via text. To you, it appears to be out of nowhere, but to her and all of her friends, they've known for months but nobody decided to fill you in. There wasn't a talk of being unhappy. There was no hint of anything changing. Just a text and she's moved on and you left wondering WTF even happened. TLDR, monkey branching. I mean, at a certain point the inevitable heartbreak and months of sadness and depression aren't worth chasing for a temporary high. Or the constant rejections just becomes not worth dealing with, as it sours your perception of people and makes you feel like you have no value to offer. I have finally gotten over this and am seeing someone new. But I went on for 5 years not wanting to date. Which sucked because I did want an intimate connection with someone. But I was afraid. Because, wow, one ex really fucked me up. Long story short, she cheated on me. When I suspected something and called her on it, she said the guy raped her. I wanted her to go to the police, she wouldn't, she said she wanted to never think about it again. So I confront the guy, he insists it was consensual. I don't believe him and we fight. It gets broken up by some other people and I leave. I tell my girlfriend about it. She's upset with me. She immediately calls him. At which point my dumbass puts 2 plus 2 together. I told her to tell me the truth, and she did. She had been cheating on me with him for months. I broke up with her and left. I went to a friend's place, when she called me apologizing, saying she wanted me back and all sorts of other bullshit. I tell her to fuck off. She sends me back a text that just says goodbye, and then I get a picture. She's gone and slit her wrists. I call 911 for her. Turns out she's fine. She faked the slit wrist photos. She wouldn't open the door for the paramedics, so the police got involved and I had to go give a statement. After it was all said and done, we were in the same room. She had the nerve to be upset with me for calling 911 when I thought she was dying. You were supposed to come save me. Fucking psychotic. That's not how any of this works. A week or so later, the guy she was cheating on me with sent me pictures of her sucking his dick. 2 months later they had split up. She wanted to get back together. She was begging. I said we could talk. We were driving around. Talking? She didn't seem to understand why I would have an issue with anything she did. Talking led to yelling, led to screaming at each other. At a red light she gets out and smashed my rear view mirror and walked away. I won't lie. I definitely did not handle everything in as responsible a way I should have. But holy fuck, what an emotional ordeal. It really turned me off to the idea of letting someone get close. 'Cause when you do, they can hurt you even more. Took a solid 5 years to begin to open up again after that. Second girlfriend cheated on me with a guy in another province. I found out. I dumped her. A year later she tries to come back. I refuse and tell her off. She gets pissed and goes all the way up to the dean of my university and puts a false rape accusation on me. Took me through extreme social anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts during the whole process. Eventually I was considered not guilty but not exonerated. She had zero proof of anything, just some accusation. I even had an affidavit showing she lied to the security office about events that made her feel unsafe. She knew what she was doing. She even smiled at me during that pseudo trial. She didn't give a fuck. I think I'm still affected by it somewhat. I have a very hard time trusting girls I'm dating now. I gave them my burner phone, tell them my Americanized name, don't tell them where I live or where I work, etc. My GPA went from 3.4 to a 2.5 during the year and a half it lasted, and now I can't send my curriculum if asked for new grad job interviews. I will 100% not get the job if they see it. I don't want to be used as an ATM. Again. I don't want to be lied to and gaslit. Again. I don't want to have all of my life plans fall to the ground around me after I've already made so much progress on them. Again. This life you're living right now is your real life, your only life. I'm scared of dating because I dated someone who I thought loved me for 4 years, and in 2 weeks she tore it all to the ground and cheated on me with a random guy from a party. The next 2 months were nothing but me dancing around trying to win her back, me buying her expensive things, her blaming me, all the while lying about everything. I was struggling seriously with mental health because of this huge thing that was going on in addition to finals at school, and she ended up breaking up with me for good while I was staying overnight at a mental health facility. The only reason I was there was because she told me that I wasn't allowed to tell anyone about what happened. I had no other place to go. Fuck her and all the memories I had with her. I was going to make all of her dreams come true, but she just wanted to fool around and get fucked. I hope you burn in hell for what you did to me, Sheridan. And that is why I am scared of dating. I'm a really simple guy. I wanted a family, white picket fence, 2.4 kids and a comfortable life. I met a girl, I fell in love, Don't think she ever did. Had 2 great sons and life was good. She came to me 10 days after my 35th birthday and told me she wanted a divorce out of nowhere. Fast forward to 4 years later, I have picked up the pieces and rebuilt a comfortable life, and have full custody of my sons. Meet a new girl and fall in love. Over the past 4 years I have been alone, just me, my sons, my work and a couple of great hobbies. I have found that being alone works better for me. I don't have to answer to anyone, I do what I want when I want and don't have to worry if I will spend the next few nights in emotional hell because I made her mad. She didn't fit with the way I want to live. I tried to make it work, but I found that all that time alone I had to find out who I was. It was a long road to walk, but I did it and found things that once again made me smile. She, the new girl, kept trying to change all of that and take over my life. I just couldn't do it anymore. Split up with her and have never looked back. Every time I meet a woman, they always try to change how I spend my time and what I do. No thanks. I am free in a way I never knew I could be. I don't have to listen to someone question my choices and tell me that I have too much of this or why did I spend that money here when we could have spent it here. I am responsible for just myself and my sons. We have a great life, and at this point I don't want that to change. None of the women that I have met are willing to fit into my life, they want me to fit into theirs. So I just respectfully refuse to be a part of that, and I take care of my family. Feeling like you're walking on eggshells. Though it could be argued if these flags are going up you should just nope right out, but in practice that never actually happens. But basically, if there's someone you like, you play a very delicate balancing act the entire time. Do I tell them I like them? Or do I sit on it and let it eat away at me? If I tell them I like them, will they reciprocate or will they rebuff me and then treat me like an outcast? If you play it cautious, you may get told that she liked you but you were too chicken shit to act. You lose. If you're too forward, you get made out to be a creep possibly, and you get your feelings trampled upon and tossed away. You lose. Some people reject gracefully, a lot reject harshly. Dating is such a delicate thing that's very much a high-risk, low-reward situation. If you hold yourself to taking no risks whatsoever and not laying your cards on the table effectively, you end up in a you miss 100% of the shots you don't take situation. But if you decide to put your feelings out there, there's a non-zero chance you get cast as a creep / rejected harshly, and you just don't want to put yourself out there again. I think I have a serious fear of being betrayed. Not necessarily cheated on. It could be stealing, manipulating, using, etc. My fear comes from my personal observations. Not to pat myself on the back, but I've been around mothers who hit on me or proposition me as soon as their daughter isn't looking. Girls and guys who are my friends who expertly lie to and manipulate their significant others and keep it all a secret for years or forever. I think to myself, there's no avoiding this. People are just selfish and shitty for no reason at all. Getting involved with or trusting anyone will 100% lead to disappointment. What scares me the most is wealth, education, life accomplishments, religion, etc. do not make a difference. It's everyone. Additionally, the manipulations are so expert that I would not catch on to it. I'd just rationalize sketchy behavior. The day I get married is the day I love someone so much that I do not mind being completely fucked over by them in the future. All 3 exes were liars and manipulators with mental health issues and troubled pasts, as well as a lot of the good friends I've had that ended up being not so good. I can't help but feel that those commonalities reflect somewhat on me and what kind of people I attract. I'm scared of getting into a relationship, because of the expectation of either being hurt or not being up the standard of a potential partner due to a lot of trust and self-esteem issues, gained not only from those past relationships but also my childhood. A few times a year I attempt to get back into online dating or to get out of my shell more by trying to socialize elsewhere, trying to learn Hindi as an example, but I rarely manage to send one message at best to someone I match with on those dating sites before getting depressed or anxious and stopping. Sometimes I'll write out the start of a message to someone who seems nice and that I'd like to get to know. I try to make something punny from their profile or relate to a common interest we might have, but most never get completed or sent because of the crushing feeling of being a big old pile of shit that envelops me at the thought of wasting this person's time with someone like me. Granted, I'm a young buck with only one relationship under my belt, but just after the fact, I learned a lot that I didn't want to learn about this girl who I thought a lot of good things about. Like that she was a huge attention seeker, and would very willingly lie to get good attention from people, or seem more likable. I was used for my niceness and willingness to show affection, and now I can't help but think that it could happen again, and I didn't like that feeling. Trust is one factor I'm sure many will talk about, but the other that most won't know without experience is the easiest ones to fall in love with. The young and passionate people are quite changeable. Their heart is so caught up in something that if it's something you also like, they latch onto you so tightly and quickly. Think of how many people have online relationships based on music, or gaming, or school/college relationships bonded by a protest cause, or an early hobby, or even just smoking weed. The issue is these people often haven't become people yet. They don't truly know what they want. Some stay the same forever and the relationship always seems piss easy, but sometimes they grow and change, and suddenly that boy/girl you fell in love with is torn between the time they've enjoyed with you and the life they want. If unaddressed, the conflict builds, and maybe they do something radical to fulfill that part of themselves that's missing. Could be run away, fake a pregnancy, cheat, take a job elsewhere. In the absence of communication, you feel betrayed, and your trust breaks. The further you get into a relationship, the harder it is to repair a broken trust, not with them, but with anyone. The first time you realize you don't have the same person you fell in love with, it shatters you. The life you thought you'd lead with them was a lie, and especially if you find out they never intended to live that life with you, it cuts deep. So that's why some people, guys and girls, are so terrified of relationships. One bad experience with one person who handled growing up poorly, and your potential partner now sits at home too scared to try for fear of being hurt, not for fear of rejection, but for fear of receiving acceptance and then having it taken away again. I'm terrified of finding the one, falling in love, getting married, buying a house, having kids. Then one day she decides that she doesn't love me anymore and starts cheating. I find out, we get divorced, she takes everything I've worked for due to biased marriage laws. Other than that, I have serious trust issues. I've had enough things stolen from me for a lifetime. I don't want to disappoint my lover in bed. I personally don't like my physique, I wouldn't date me. I have been diagnosed with mental health issues and I don't want to dump that on someone else. I prefer to stay alone. I'm selfish, and although I'm willing to give others my time, I'd want to spend double that alone. After being broken up with out of nowhere, and then being lied to about her sleeping with 8 other guys, leading to her telling me about that after she said she didn't have sex with anyone, right after we had sex, kind of destroyed the trust I put in women. Granted, not every woman is the same, but I'd rather not get stabbed in the back like that again. Eventually maybe I'll regain the ability to trust, but until then I'd rather not get hurt. I fell in love with a woman who had back issues. Like bad back problems. Also on top of that, she had a problem with her ankle to where walking around really hurt and she had to stop quite a bit. For some background, my mother had scoliosis. She had a bunch of surgeries that were botched which made her bedridden. I guess growing up with someone like that gives you a great deal of empathy for this when similar situations, which is probably why I stuck with the girl I was dating. Well, These health problems made it impossible for her to work a normal job, and she ran some stupid eBay business that made jack shit. She also had 2 teenage kids to provide for. I have a pretty decent job as an engineer, so I helped out with bills, school supplies, and B-Day/Christmas presents. I started racking up credit card debt, and had to start Uber driving on the side. $30,000 later, and she was screwing some other guy at sleazy hotels the whole time. I'm still crawling my way out of debt. People are fucking horrible. Gay man here. 26 and I've never had an official boyfriend. The first guy I fell for, and I had talked for a few months, but as I was exploring my sexuality for the first time, I caught feelings fast. We had gone on a couple dates whenever we could, as I worked 2 jobs and he was a student on top of a full-time job. There was a period where I hadn't seen him for a month, and so I was finally able to see him the day before Valentine's Day. I went over to his house and we talked and made out for hours, almost had sex. I told him I had feelings for him and he told me he loved me. 2 days later he tells me he only ever wanted sex from me. The second guy and I spent every day together for 2 weeks. Cuddling, kissing, just spending time getting to know each other. I told him I had feelings for him and wanted to see where we could go, but he called me crazy, and that he had been seeing someone for months. The guy he was seeing was in his 50s. I backed off cause I was hurt, but what hurt more was him admitting to me that, after a couple months of being hot and cold with this older man, he gave him an ultimatum: get serious as a couple or he moves into his backup. Guess who was the backup relationship? Yep. Me. Third guy was an asshole. Narcissistic, judgmental. He judged my car for not being new, he judged the clothes I wore for not being designer, he judged my job for not being good enough. I worked for Shake Shack at the time, getting paid $12 an hour, he was a vet assistant, and my apartment for being in a less than desirable neighborhood. I finally ended it after a couple months cause I was tired of busting my ass just to gain approval from him that I eventually realized I would never get. He spent the next year and a half sending me dick pics, trying to hook up behind his boyfriend's back, etc. Total trash. Number 4 and I weren't very serious, but by this point in my life I was fully out, and he was the first guy I felt I could be myself around. We dated casually for 2 months until he tells me one day that him and a friend he had spending a lot of time with had caught feelings for one another. They're now engaged. Number 5 lasted 5 months, but there's an entire story of why we didn't work out, and why, looking back, I'm glad we didn't. Still sucked though. Fuck guys. And fuck love. Strangely, my problems aren't caused by previous GFs, but betrayed by people I should have been able to trust. They both ruined my life. I can't make actual friends because I can't trust people. Sexual relationships are possible, but I feel very detached and she has noticed. First was a step-parent. 6 years of sexual abuse and 2 rapes. Threatened to kill my mom, sister and GF if I told anyone. I left, reported it, he counter-accused, said I lied and was angry over my ex-GF, the one he threatened, and his side of the family hates me. Second was the first person I trusted since that. Was friends for a year. They even became my best friend. I invited them on a vacation with me and they accepted. They purposely get me drunk planning to have sex with me. They were in a relationship and I would have dropped them if they tried to make me a Jody. Later accused me of rape. Still dealing with it. I'm honestly afraid to invest more of my sanity into someone just to be stabbed in the back again. An ex-girlfriend of mine accused me of sexually assaulting her after we hooked up a couple of months following our breakup. My lawyer was able to make a deal with the Crown prosecutor and changed the charge to simple assault, think bar fight. With the stigma and social attitude towards sexual assault, I chose to take the deal and move on. I served 3 months in jail and I currently have just under 2 months left on my year of probation. Following all of this, I have found it extremely difficult to feel safe and comfortable around women. I fear that any move or advancement I make towards a female will land me back in jail. I shy away from making anything more than small talk with any female I meet. As a result of this, I now struggle through extreme social anxiety and depression. I think this is just my problem, but I find it very time and energy consuming. I'm not the kind of guy that likes to text and keep up with people for more than 2 hours a day, so I think I'll find it very hard to commit to another relationship. The fact that I'm planning to go to mechanical engineering for college just makes it worse. Not scared, just feed up and can't be bothered to make the effort anymore. There are just as many loser females as there are males, believe it or not. If they are not desperate to have children, they usually already have at least 3, and finding a single female around the same age as me that only wants to date is near impossible. Then things like this, which was an actual conversation I had on a date. Her, so what sort of car do you drive? Me, I just bought my car before this one was a bit of a shitbox. Her, I am a lady, I expect to be spoken to appropriately. Me, I'm sorry, what? Her, I don't like being sworn at. Me, WTF is she on about? I think back, oh, because I said shitbox, are you serious? Me saying that upset you? Her, yes. Then I was like, wow, she is deadly serious, I can't be with a person like that. What a waste of time this was. So now the choice between finding someone to go on a date with or staying home and getting on Pornhub is not a very hard decision for me at all. I'm not used to being vulnerable, as I've been betrayed in the past and I've not handled it well. I don't think I can go through it again and stay out of jail. Scared to catch feelings for someone that won't reciprocate them. Worried that I won't be able to hold into a relationship for long enough to meet people's standards. Afraid I'll ruin a relationship before it had a chance to bloom thanks to my negative attitude. Will I be too clingy? Will I be too distant? Too secretive? These are just some of the things. Bad breakup. Lost a lot of self-confidence. I'm balding early from stress of the breakup and get self-conscious over it, and I lost a lot of my personality from depression. My last 2 relationships turned out to know each other and for some reason decided to threaten me with false rape accusations. Both of them dumped me for not sleeping with them within a week of dating them. It probably hurt their ego having a guy refuse sex, so I can understand to some extent why it didn't last. I am glad that I had some very kind people that would fight for me tooth and nail because they knew I was not capable to do such a thing. Besides, the whole reasoning was that I can't get it up unless I fully trust and love the other person, because I somehow got sex as a super intimate and romantic thing in my head when I was a kid. I am not scared as much as I just don't get enough out of a relationship to make up for the struggle it can be at times. I would almost consider myself asexual, but I still get off to pretty girls, so I uno. TL, doctor, tired of getting my heart broken and scared that my extreme lack of experience would make me a terrible boyfriend. A lot of factors, but some of the main ones are: girl I had a crush on in grade 8 sent me a message saying she had feelings for me, and when I asked a few weeks later she laughed and said that it was her friend messing with her. Still agreed to hang out with me but then completely ghosted. Girl I had a crush on in senior year, I've told the story on Reddit before. The TL, doctor of it was that she seemed super nice but ended up being kind of nasty on the inside and started making fun of me for no reason other than the fact that I had expressed interest in her and she rejected me. This last one I think hurt the most because it really did feel like something was there, but turns out I was wrong. It was this past year, but long story short, felt like she liked me as much as I liked her, but she ended up already being in a relationship. Just not sure how much more rejection and heartbreak I can take, and if I ever got into a relationship, scared of fucking it all up because I've never even been on a date before as a man in his early 20s. Saying anything to hit up a girl seems inappropriate. I feel like I'd be harassing someone. I also feel massively inferior to others. Seeing images of happy people on vacation on Tinder, for example, just makes me believe I would never be able to fulfill this person's expectations and that I'd be a letdown anyway. Lastly, trust issues. After being cheated on and abandoned a few times, the moment I start seeing someone as attractive is when I think that they wouldn't be loyal to me anyway. After all, there must be something wrong with me that makes it so everyone moves on from me after a while. Long story short, I am worried about infidelity. I am by no means a moral or good person, but I have such a contempt for cheating that I think it impaired my desire to pursue long-term relationships. I feel like if I was in a relationship, I would have major trust issues. I'm not sure why I am like this. Most people think I'm delusional about my stances or think that I have been cheated on in the past, neither of which are true. Probably. I have been in the military since I was 18, so most of my adult life experiences with women have been with other service members who are women or spouses of other service members. Everybody knows the stories about Jody and cheating while deployed. Obviously this is only anecdotal, but I can only count on one hand the number of girls I have personally known that have not cheated on their significant other. And the men I know are no better. My only current friend is like this, and I feel guilty about my friendship with them because I hate her for her vast history of infidelity and unwillingness to change, but I'm so alone. I just need someone who actually gives a shit about me. I know that cheating happens everywhere else too, not just in the military, but it's so commonplace in my daily life that I can't help but hope it is better on the outside. I wouldn't say scared, tired, maybe. I'm dating someone now who's as gun-shy about them as me. We're not mad about each other, like I want to be about the person I'm with, but the last few times I have felt that for someone, it was absolute hell. Had physical effects on my body. And I've just been a little too beat up to keep trying for that fantasy love. I don't think it's real anymore. Maybe I'm supposed to settle for this hot girl who's chill enough to put up with until my prostate kills me at 65. Life is far too turbulent. I've had to move cities during a relationship more than once, and the transition to long distance sucks. Didn't end up being sustainable in either case. How can I justify starting something if there's a strong chance I could move across the country in a year? With the way the job market is for young people like me, it's so hard to stay in one place without making career sacrifices. Honestly, because I need that so to feel whole and have some meaning in my life beyond just getting up in the morning. All of my motivation and discipline to get things done in my life come from making my so happy and building our relationship/life together towards a family and a future. No one that I've met has been equally motivated and serious about actually building a life together. It's all just casual Tinder-like hookups and disposable relationships. I don't even know how or where to meet people like me. Because I feel dead inside and seems like I'm turning more and more robotic every passing day. Things that used to give me pleasure just doesn't elicit any emotion anymore. Talking to people feels like a chore and just a waste of effort, which somehow has earned me a reputation of being a great listener just because I've learned to aimless grunt or say mollifying phrases at certain times in conversations. Oh, the irony. Not exactly qualities you'd start a relationship with unless it's with a therapist. 5 years ago I was dating someone who I considered to be one of the best, most honest, truly good people I have ever met. We were supposed to get married. She left me abruptly, giving me neither warning nor reason for her departure. It's hard to go back to dating after something like that. I find myself unable to trust anyone after such a betrayal. I know this shit happens all the time, but this is my personal reason for being unable to date anyone for the past 5 years or so. If someone here can relate, please reply. All the women in my immediate environment all have children from previous relationships. This did not bother me, so when I moved back home, I shacked up with the first girl I thought was cool. She had a 2-year-old girl who, over time, accepted me as her dad. Fast forward 2 years of toxicity later, I was at my wit's end. I wanted to leave, but my now stepdaughter had already been abandoned by her bio dad, and she would always cling to me after her mother and I fought. My own father had left me, and I thought it would make me a monster to do the same to a child. Eventually, academic circumstances forced me to leave. It hurt. Not breaking up with this woman, I still loved her, but her scars from her upbringing made it impossible, but breaking the bond with the daughter. It left me dead inside and with zero interest in dating. Sorry for the hurting post. Extension, thank you for the silver and heartfelt comments. For those wondering, I had to leave to pursue my degree in middle years education. So my time as a dad or live-in caretaker, as some would put it, greatly prepared me for working with students, most of which came from dysfunctional homes. In order to graduate in my province, a student teacher must complete a total of 24 weeks of practicums/internships. I taught in grades 1 to 5. Every class I left, there was always goodbye hugs, cards and gifts. For context, if you finish working with a class, 4 to 6 weeks, and the students don't give a shit you're leaving, then you sucked. I only write this because the comments focused on my relationship with the child. My statement that I am dead inside still stands, but only with dating. My want to be a father or father figure to my students never died. I took a teaching position in my hometown and saw her last June walking in the halls. She just stopped, smiled, and pointed at me. I remember you. You used to play with me in broken English. She still has a speech problems. When I saw her again later that week, she looked scarred and ran away when she saw me in the hall, no doubt at the direction of her mother. I start teaching full-time in September, so I know the pain from the past is constantly going to be around me, and to have to face the eventual nightmare scenario where I have to be this girl's teacher in the future and to have to attend a parent-teacher conference with the mother. Edit, thanks for the gold.